Hey, how's everyone doing this week? I hope it's been a smooth one for y'all. I'm really excited that we're heading into the weekend. So I know the discussion this week focuses on the differences between liberty and freedom. People today will often use the words interchangeably. And from the early years of Western civilization to the modern age, the question of what it means to have liberty and freedom have always been at the forefront. What people need to realize, though, is that freedom and liberty are not the same thing. Freedom is personal. It is the concept of making choices on how to live our lives and all of its offerings. Liberty, on the other hand, is more society and government oriented. Something that's extended to citizens, and it frees them from the bonds of oppression, whether it be enslavement, heavy taxation, or the ability to worship freely. In America, our liberties are guaranteed to us through the Bill of Rights. With our freedom, though, we choose how we are going to execute those liberties or carry them out. To help us along with this discussion, I have three sources pertaining to the idea of freedom versus liberty. The first one I want to discuss is Harris Harbison's Freedom in Western Thought. One of the main contentions is that freedom means different things to different people, and it all depends on our backgrounds or our upbringings. The constant dispute about freedom has often led to violent confrontations within society. He believes that although our liberties are written in our Constitution, the freedom by which we choose to carry them out differ based on who we are and where we are at. I think this is important to bring up because our liberties are something that's written in stone through our government and society, but it seems that a lot of external factors can often infringe upon our freedom to carry out those liberties. I think you can look at right now just with terms of like geographic location, especially here in America. It seems that like something like the Second Amendment is more freely carried out throughout the South, whereas it's something that is a lot more difficult up north and out west. And although it's a liberty that is granted to us in our Constitution, it is always a source of contention here in the United States. So the next source I want to discuss is Alexander Rosenthal Pubel's Reflection of Ancient and Modern Freedom. Pubel's approach looks at two different forms of freedom. We've got modern freedom and ancient freedom. I want to briefly focus on modern freedom, which is rooted in liberalism. Pubel says that in the pure form of liberalism, it would seem that the ideas of liberty and law are inversely proportional. Liberty is a space where an action is unimpeded, while law imposes limits on freedom of action. Hence, the more man's actions come under the control of law, the less free that he is. It seems again there that the approach is that our liberties are defined rights, and with our freedoms we choose how to carry them out. And so the last source I want to go over is Moira Walsh's Aristotle's Conception of Freedom. I will be brief here and say that Walsh's work examines the idea of Aristotle's belief in freedom, and that it is rooted in the moral and political aspects of freedom, whereas other people will take the approach of freedom being more metaphysical. Aristotle's idea of directing oneself and not just guiding it into the right direction was his approach with the idea of freedom and liberty. Having the freedom to do this goes beyond the liberties that are extended to us through government and society, and I feel that Aristotle believes that in this case freedom goes beyond just having liberty, because again, you can have liberty extended to you through your government, but depending on where you're at in your upbringing, you might not have the freedom to carry out those liberties, and you'll only have certain ones extended to you without feeling like you're being oppressed or being limited as to what you can do. And I think again this goes back to especially like the Second Amendment, whereas you have the freedom to do as you please with the Second Amendment in some places, whereas in other places you have a lot more restrictions imposed upon just how to carry out that particular liberty. And I think the freedom of speech, the First Amendment, is another area that, it's guaranteed as a liberty in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, but depending on where you are, you might have a really difficult time speaking your mind without backlash or fear of consequences. So to wrap up, I think these sources have done a really decent job describing the ideas of liberty and freedom, and I hope that it's made sense, if anything. So I look forward to hearing your thoughts on this, and I look forward to hearing what you have to say about it, and I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and can't wait till the next video.